Hello and welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Mick Lennan and this is episode 15, the review of the Wolfhounds versus Edinburgh in the Celtic Challenge. This episode will be the overall opinion of the game, the analysis of the game events, the Celtic Challenge positioning after this weekend just gone by, and then a discussion section on the Women's Six Nations training squad selection. Alright, so just the overall opinion there of the game in Edinburgh. Look, it was the Dalton and Dana Half Century show. It was a complete domination, in fairness. 8 tries there by the Wolfhounds overall in that game. One of those games, again, which I usually do talk about Leinster and the Wolfhounds, denying Edinburgh any score, any points in the second half. Like, that is, I just love games like that. It just shows complete and utter dominance across both defence and attack. The opening try there being one of the big highlights for the Wolfhounds by none other than Erin King, who is only back on her second appearance back from a very lengthy injury. The carries, the jackals, the kicks, all that from the Wolfhounds there were absolutely key to this annihilation. Going into some of the details then on the plays there, the scrums, yeah, look, a bit of a pain point there. Edinburgh's front pack, Jesus, they were just excellent. You couldn't really fault them. The one thing I will say, like, we were really under pressure there, but I do kind of think it might be the 4G pitches, when it comes to scrums. Like, it's hard enough on proper ground that's a little bit soft, or one that you can get your foothold into. But those 4G pitches, I've seen a few times even on the casual games down in the club rugby here in Dublin. You'd never really get the proper scrums going. So look, it was Edinburgh's home turf. Apart from the cliche there, but they probably had that under control for them. Probably not the best for us now, in fairness. But look, we did learn from it. We then ended up taking our scrums very quickly, so at least we had a learning point there, and we pivoted in the second half to kind of make them a little bit better. Lineouts there were, they were okay. Okay in the most part. We definitely overthrew. I think one or two of them. Not great there. However, quickly learned from this, and you'll learn about this in the match events. A very quick one to the front there led to an India Daly try. Fantastic play. So look, definitely learning again on the pitch, which is a huge thing to see for a team to do. And we also competed in the air for most of the Edinburgh lineouts as well, which is obviously good because with the new rule where it can go skewed to their side, you do want to be contesting those to make sure that the ref has every opportunity to turn those back over for you. Again, probably didn't do too well with the mauls that came off them. Again, I kind of suspect the ground there. The 4G pitches are very strange, and if you're not used to playing in them, they can be, that's exactly where it's going to impact. It's at the mauls and the scrums. But look, the defence was absolutely excellent. As I said, turnovers were key here. Erin King, in most of the breakdowns there, I think she got 2 or 3 turnovers herself. Fantastic play. Again, we didn't really have a lot to defend against, to be fair, given that it was just a try after try for the Wolfhounds there. And, Edinburgh did get a try just before the half-time bell came, but it was after some serious amounts of phases there. So great defence even on the line and inside the 5 metres. But they just got there in the end. The attack obviously needs no introduction. The back line there for the Wolfhounds is just immense. But not only that, the forward pack amazing too. And even the Clara centre there, Aoife Dalton, showing through completely. She got 1 try of her own. She definitely set up 2 or 3 of them. She got an absolute rocker of a carry there from the 10 metre line all the way into the 22 with a lovely offload. So look, attack there was amazing. Defenders are falling off people. Even Fiona Chute, I think she came on in the second half as a replacement. Again, took no prisoners. Fantastic play from her as well. Sophie Barrett as well had some massive carries. Look, they just minced that defence, and I think we were talking about Leinster there, how their defence was under pressure. I tell you, Edinburgh's defence was definitely under pressure here by the Wolfhounds. Fantastic. I think all in all, the attacks were just clinical. It's fairly self-explanatory though with an 8 try win. I don't need to go too much into that. Some notable players there. Obviously, as I said, Erin King, coming back from such a huge injury, that's a very long road, and that's massive to come in and get the open and try there herself, and a fantastic try at that. She also set up a few others as well. So look, relentless in the defence and the carries and the attack. That's an all-rounder there for Erin King. Aoife Dalton obviously needs very few mentions. A fantastic player here. Probably one of the best centres in the world. There must be something in the water in the Midlands, and I just clearly didn't get enough of it. What a game she had. Dominant carries, left, right and centre. Huge runs, like 3 or 4 times going from the 10 metres all the way to the 22 and then offloading it perfectly. That's exactly what you want from a centre. Some dominant carries on the gain line, non-stop. Fantastic. Her tackling there was pinpoint accurate as well, and she set up tries both halves, and she was always there, so fantastic by her. But look, we couldn't go this episode without mentioning Dan O'Brien. My God, some fantastic kicking. Like, the game was decided by the kicks. Not only did she convert 4 tries there, but she was kicking into touch exactly for all the penalties, and then there was one fantastic try, and I'll talk a little bit about it later, so no spoilers there. Look, Dan had it covered. She was also player of the match. Probably one of her best games for kicking. Fantastic. I think it's her signature now is just to be player of the match when it comes to these things. The referee there was Kieran Stark, and look, he was fair, to be fair to him. He could have probably punished us a little bit on the scrum times, and he kept the cards in his pocket, so we'll thank him for that. But look, in a line, Edinburgh washed away. There was no hope for them. Coming into the last 10 minutes there, their pace was gone. They were so tired, they couldn't compete with the Wolfhounds, so it was great. And look, that's what comes down to the Wolfhounds being clinical and tactical and quick. That's what you want. Excellent play. Alright, so I'm going to keep the format here with the analysis, so we're going to jump straight into it, not spend too long on it, just to kind of give you the main events here. 15th minute, we got our first try there. I gave you a little bit of spoiler in terms of Erin King. Some lovely phase play, putting Edinburgh under pressure there. Avian Riley keeping control there with the rucks, fantastic by her. Erin King then decides to pick and go, 4 defenders in front of her, not a bother. Walk straight through them. They had no hope of stopping her. That was then converted by Dan O'Brien, so bringing the score to 0-7 just inside the 15 minute. 21st minute then, Edinburgh came back. Kieran Bell there, she caught a pass very nicely there just outside the 10 metres, and look, she's a winger there. She was very fast. No one really catch her. She just found a gap and she was off like a rocket. So a good try by them, and one probably we'd be kicking ourselves for that we opened the gap for them. They also missed that conversion, so we kept the lead there 5-7. 23rd minute then, try for Wolfhounds. This one is actually amazing. India Daly there got the try in the end, but it was a massive line out. I think we lost 2 or 3 before that, or just really didn't do a very good competitive line out 2 or 3 before that. This one they opted for the quick one, straight to the front. Erin King was there, soaked in the tackle, passed it quickly back to India Daly again, and India Daly takes off. She's at the 10 metres, runs the whole way to the 22, and she was tackled over the line and just got it down. So fantastic there. There was a load of players coming up behind her just to make sure that it was at least touchdown, but she got it herself. Unfortunately, Dan O'Brien missed that conversion, but look, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Score then was 5-12. Didn't have to wait too long. 27 minutes, another try. Wolfhounds. Massive score here. It was Avian Riley. Massive carry from Eva Dalton. This is the one I was talking about. So, she picked the ball up in the 10 metres, ran the whole way to the 22 and drew in the last 2 defenders in that wing. Does a massive offload after it got tackled and spun around out to Eve Higgins, who was at pace at that point. Eve Higgins then makes an absolute show of 2 defenders who were coming in from the right hand side. Nearly broke her ankles with the sidestep she did, and then she took another 3 down with her. It was a quick pick and go then by Avian Riley, just a dive over the line. Perfect score, and also perfect conversion then by Dan O'Brien. That brought the score to 5-19. Again, did not have to wait too long. Another 5 minutes later, try Wolfhounds. This one not only set up herself from the last one, but got this one herself. So Aoife Dalton here, she chased a grubber by Dan O'Brien, who actually went beyond 2 of the Edinburgh defenders. They were running back. Of course, like always, the bounce on these 4G pitches is just unpredictable. Bounces past them back towards Aoife. She is at it on pace, gathers it and just dives over the line. Perfect try there. Dan O'Brien then converted that as well. So that brought the score to an already dominant and 4 try bonus point, 5-26. Now, I can't keep saying this, it's going to get a bit generic. Didn't have to wait too long again. 38 minute try there. Niamh Marley. for the Wolfhounds. You know, another massive carry by Aoife Dalton there, just from outside the 22, all the way this time to the 5 metre line. There was a few quick phases then out the wing, and a very last one, a kind of looping over past end to Niamh Marley to finish that easy try. This was at a tight angle, but converted once again by Dan O'Brien. That brought the score to 5:33. Now, just before the half-time whistle, there was a 42nd minute there try by Edinburgh, Talai Tawake. Now, this was after multiple phases inside our 5 metres and just on the line, and they just came out on top at the very end. That was then converted by Nicole Marlowe to bring the score at half-time to 12:33. We had to wait a good bit then. You were expecting me to say we didn't have to wait too long. No, we did. We had to wait 20 minutes, the 60th minute, but none other than Maggie Boylan for the Wolfhounds. This was probably the best try of the game, honestly. This has just proved why Dan O'Brien deserves player of the match. Dan O'Brien with the vision here, 10 metre mark inside their half, gives Maggie Boylan a nod, and Maggie Boylan's off like a rocket down the wing. She delays the kick ever so slightly to kind of draw in two defenders to come towards her, kicks it really deep into the very far corner. I mean, it's just 2 or 3 metres out from the line. Bounces perfectly for Maggie Boylan, who gathers it there and straight over the line, and the rest is history. Fantastic kick. You'd have to go back and watch it. It was spectacular. Unfortunately, then she didn't miss the conversion, but look, one kick was good enough for us. That brought the score then to 12:38, and we did actually have to wait another while. 75th minute there, and at this point, Edinburgh, now in fairness, they were very tired. You could see they were so fatigued. They had brought their subs on very early before this, but this try was in by Aoife Corcoran. So Flynn was caught just before getting over at the try line. She was coming in rapid, and it took 3 defenders to stop her just before the try line. There was a super quick pick and go ruck and a feign at that. It did look like she's going to go herself. Pop pass to Corcoran, who just lobs herself over the line there. No stopping her whatsoever. That was nicely converted there by Dan O'Brien. Brought the score to 12:45. And then last but not least, the 78th minute, another try for the Wolfhounds, Stacey Flood. Again, Edinburgh were just completely smoked at this point. She could have walked it in. But anyway, a 10 metre line run from Abby Miles there. Fantastic run. And an even better offload. Gets inside the 22, offloads that to Stacey Flood, who was at pace. There was no defenders left. She could have just walked it in. Perfect try and job done. Unfortunately, Dan O'Brien missed that, but honestly, she got enough of them during that game. So deserving player of the match, and also deserving win. Full time score there being 12:50. Player of the match, obviously, as I said, Dan O'Brien. And do we need to say any more? Alright, so where does that leave the Wolfhounds then on the Celtic Challenge table? So Wolfhounds are now 3 wins for 3, top of the table, and 3 points clear of Gwalia Lightning. Their next game there is the Wolfhounds versus Brighton Thunder. That's Sunday, 18th of January, so this Sunday coming. It's in the Affidea Stadium in Belfast, and I do believe tickets are still available. So if you can, do try and get up there to Belfast and show your support. Cool, so discussion point. A huge thing came out today. Women's Six Nations training camp squad for Ireland. Some fantastic names there. It's going to be a very powerful squad for us. And another thing, just to start this, a record 12,500 tickets sold for Ireland versus Scotland on Sunday the 17th of May in 2026 for the Women's Six Nations. Now that is unreal. Look, obviously we want to get that number up. I think they'll probably have the cap there around 20,000 for that before they start selling the upper bands up there. So look, tickets are still available. Get buying, folks. I'll be there. We should all be there. You know, get yourself out there and support the women in green. And obviously wear your blue underneath, you know, if you have to. But look, the training team was named. I'm not going to name them all, obviously, but what I will do is I'll share the photo on my social media. But look, to name a few Leinster women there, Aoife Wafer, Erin King, Fiona Chute, Linda Dugang, Aoife Dalton, Dan O'Brien, Eve Higgins, Robin O'Connor, Stacey Flood. Like, you could go on here. The amount of Leinster players there is fantastic. But like, really fantastic performant players as well. This is probably one of the best lineups we've probably ever had coming into this training camp. So I'm very excited for this. So what a lineup! Like, you just you couldn't fault it here. Obviously, there's huge players from here, from Connacht to Munster and Ulster as well. But obviously, like this, the Leinster, listen, we do tend to want to focus on our players. But look, there's also 3 fantastic home games there, spread throughout the nation. Obviously, the big one there being in Dublin. But look, get out there and support your women in green. I definitely will. And as I said, wear the blue underneath if you have to, but get out there and support them anyway. Okay, folks. This wasn't an episode for a person called Nathan from YouTube. In fairness, he correctly pointed out that I butchered the pronunciation of epitome. I think I called it epitome or some chronic. But look, I'm unfortunately the epitome of mispronunciations. I still get slagged for calling the Seychelles the Seychelles. But look, I won't go into that. Look, to finish this off before I go absolutely mad rambling here, if you haven't already, please do follow us on social media. And look, do get involved, even if it is just to point out that I'm getting some mad words wrong. I do love that engagement. I want to hear from you. You know, give us now a comment there if you can. But look, best luck to Leinster coming up this weekend. Best luck to the Wolfhounds. Get out there and support your teams, folks. And as always, thanks for listening.